Motherhood Voices, the podcast, Season 1, Voices from the Womb. I'm your host, Lexi, and this is a space where the silenced will speak, the stories will flow, and the healing will begin. Each episode, we're going to share real, raw, and powerful experiences of Black women and families navigating Black maternal health to include pregnancy, motherhood, trauma, grief, loss, and everything in between. Because we were never meant to suffer quietly.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Unmuted Voices, Voices from the Womb, a space to break generational silence and uplift raw, untold stories of Black women. Today, I am with my good friend, my good up friend. She is an amazing mother of two handsome, little, but big men. Like, they're
Oh,
big.
yeah.
And I am so honored to have her here with us to share her journey. Welcome. So, before we actually get started, I want to actually offer consent on the mic. I've been doing it with everyone. Is there anything that you'd like to avoid today? And then also, how would you like to be introduced?
No, there's nothing I would like to avoid. But first, let me start off with saying hi. I'm so glad
Hey.
to be here. So glad to talk to you and have a little conversation. But no, there's nothing that we need to avoid. And what was the second question? I'm so sorry.
How do you want to be introduced?
How do I
You
want to be
notice I didn't say your
introduced?
name because,
You can
I don't
just
want
call me Ashley. Yeah.
Ashley. All right.
Yeah, we'll do Ashley.
I like to respect everybody's boundaries. I want to know, how do you want to be introduced to the internet? Because the world is seeing this.
Yeah. No, but this is the real.
Yeah. How you doing, mama?
I'm doing good. Tired, but I'm here, still pushing.
I felt
Still
that.
pushing.
Heavy on the tired and still pushing. Well, I'm so happy to have you here. Like I said, I really wanted to talk to you more so about your experience with the labors, the differences, because you have two amazing young men.
Yes.
And I want to know, what was the difference between the two pregnancies and then your two labors? Can you talk to us about that?
Yes. So the difference between both pregnancies and both labors, well, with Caden, so he's my first one. He's 16 now, taller than me. I'm so sad.
Yo, he's so big.
He's so big. He's so big, but he's amazing. So with him now, it was my first pregnancy. I had him at 19, and that pregnancy was actually pretty easy. That pregnancy was pretty good. I didn't really have many complaints until we got towards the end of the pregnancy when my belly was big and everything was just heavy, and you get tired at the finish line. That last trimester is a doozy.
Mm-hmm.
Labor and delivery with him was rough. That
Let's
was the
talk
rough
about
part.
it. What happened?
So when I think it was so his dad and I, we were just up talking, watching TV, and I had went to the bathroom. I think it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. We were up watching movies. And I went to the bathroom and I was like, oh wait, I don't think I'm peeing. I don't think I'm peeing.
She's
Um
like, my water broke.
something's happening. We were laughing at the movie and I was like, oh my God, I think I'm peeing myself. And then I went to the bathroom and then I went to the bathroom and I was like, I
That's
don't think I'm
funny.
peeing.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness. I'm just
But
surprised y'all
then
were even up that late, first of all. Let me just add that,
I
because
couldn't sleep at the end of my pregnancy.
those are the
I was
times.
so uncomfortable. That last week, I could not sleep. I was up all the time just in discomfort, like, oh my God, get this baby out of me.
Huh?
But yes, I think that was around 3 a.m. if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, somewhere around that time. And we finally was like, all right, we're gonna go to the hospital and check. So I take my last little shower and everything, and I'm like, oh my God, maybe I should take a nap. I'm not having contractions. We don't know, but this is our first time. He's like, no, we gotta go now. What if anything could
Mm-hmm.
happen? All right, so we go. We get to labor and delivery, and we're there, and they test me to see if I have prenatal amniotic fluid. And they're like, "Yeah, this is amniotic fluid. You have a slow leak." They're doing their fetal monitors and everything, and they're like, "Oh, he's good, but you're not in active labor." So they had me walk around the hospital for a few hours, and then I got a room because they couldn't discharge me. They said, "We can't discharge you because your water's broken, risk of infection." I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Okay." I got to start labor from the very beginning in the hospital. That was a little nerve-wracking, but I said, all right, let's go. And so I get my room, get everything all set up, and then my mom is there. We had a couple of people come through to say hi and, wish congratulations and everything. And I think they started the Pitocin on a slow drip?
And
No.
then you were
I'm
chained to your
skipping
bed?
a big part. I'm skipping. Hold on, let me
Okay, what
back up.
happened?
Yes, so I wasn't dilated. There we go. I wasn't dilated. Like, I wasn't in active labor at all. My water just started to leak.
Or
Yeah, I wasn't in any active
Jesus.
labor. I think I was, like, maybe 1 or
This
2
sounds
centimeters.
so familiar.
Yeah, I was, like, 1 or 2 centimeters dilated, so nothing was happening besides this little slow leak. Yeah, so I'm in there, and they're like, "Okay, we're gonna try to see if." I think the medicine they gave me was called Cervidil or something like that. They're
Was
like,
it a
"Oh,
little drink?
no, it wasn't. It was a suppository that they put inside of me,
Aw,
and they were
what?
like, "Oh, this is supposed to help you. This is gonna melt away. Your body's gonna absorb it. It's gonna help your cervix to open and for, everything to thin out because you're not in labor yet." So,
Did they have you chained to the bed at this point?
no, not yet.
Oh, okay. That's
Not yet.
good.
That's coming up.
Okay.
Yeah, don't worry it. Yeah. So I start that and we're just sitting there, we're relaxing and we're talking about, everybody's placing bets on how long this is gonna last. My mom is like, "Well, my first time around, I was in labor with Ashley for like 20 something hours. And I wouldn't be surprised if this takes a long time." I said, "Mommy, please don't say that." But it happened. So they give me this suppository. They're like, "Oh, it's supposed to make me dilate," and we're there. It's kinda working, but kinda not really because 'cause nothing's happening. So we're just sitting there talking. A few hours pass by, they come check me, and nothing's really happening. I'm, like, maybe a extra centimeter dilated. They give me another round, and I think I get to, like, 4 centimeters
Okay.
at this
That's
time.
pretty open.
Yeah,
Well,
but
kinda, but you still got, like, another 5 to go, but yeah.
yeah, 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 still got another 6 to go, yeah. So, like, maybe she said 3, maybe 4 the best. I think it's somewhere around 4, but yeah, so they start the Pitocin drip, and I'm
The
sitting there like,
devil.
"Oh, boy," and everybody's like, "You better brace yourself, you better brace yourself," and I didn't know what was coming my way. That medication is the devil. They started that Pitocin drip. I think I went to the bathroom for the very last time on my own and everything. And once they started the Pitocin drip, they said, "Oh, well, now you can't get out of bed. We don't want you moving around now because you got the IV hooked up, and it's a risk that you're in labor, your baby could move and all a whole bunch of stuff." So I'm like, I gotta really sit in the bed for all of this. So then contractions start, and I'm like, all right, they're not that bad. They're really intense, but they're not that bad. And then they kick up the drips gradually. And I'm like, oh no. So then they come check me again and they're like, "Oh, well, you're only 5 centimeters at this point." I think like 2 hours passes by and I'm still only 5 centimeters. And everybody's like, "She's really not gonna have this baby till the morning." But everybody, they ended up sticking it out. But so we start the drip and then I think I had my first epidural.
You said first epidural.
First epidural, I had more than one. So I had my first epidural. It was kinda traumatizing to go through it. It didn't hurt, felt it was a very strange, cold, tingly feeling
Was it traumatizing?
because that needle was huge. That
Mhm.
needle was huge. There was a million doctors around. The hospital I was in was a teaching hospital, so they wanted everybody to see, and it was at that point, it was kinda got real intense, and I had asked for just the doctor and the nurse at that point because it was like it was a lot.
Like, I'm not a guinea pig. Get out.
And this is different. It's anesthesia. I don't want the students checking me. No, I'm very uncomfortable. So I get my epidural finally, where I'm actually chilling for a little while. For quite a few hours, I'm chilling. I stopped feeling the contractions as much. I do think
Mhm,
labor might have slowed down a bit, but I did start to also
mhm.
progress a little more. And then couple hours goes by and the contractions starting to intensify again, and they still got me on this Pitocin drip and still checking the baby and everything. And then they're like, "Oh, we need to check you again." And I'm like, "No, I'm in too much pain for you guys to be checking me."
That
But
and it's
then,
like you risk infection every single time they go up your crotch. It's
yeah,
probably not the best
yeah,
word to call it, but yeah.
yeah, we all been there because in that moment it's definitely a crotch.
Yeah, like, get out. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we're nearing towards, yeah, like midnight now. So nearing towards midnight and everybody's getting tired, and my mother is like, "All right, so I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna go get some sleep. I'm gonna come back first thing in the morning as soon as I wake up." And so she leaves. She goes home. I am trying to get comfortable in the bed, and it's me, another one of my friends, and uh the boy's dad. He's there. So it's three of us there, and we're just trying to get through the night. I believe I had another epidural somewhere around 1 a.m.
What's the reason for the second one? Because
This
that's like, to me, like a little it's a lot. Like, how do you have 2?
My first one wore off.
Okay.
My first one wore off.
So were they not able to just push more medicine? Like, they had to completely do it over?
They didn't have to completely do it over, no. They didn't have to they left the port in my back, they had it
Okay.
taped, so they did give me more medicine, yes, they gave me
Okay.
more. I didn't have a button that I could press for it. I wish I did, but that wasn't the one that I had. So, I had that somewhere around somewhere between 1 and 2 AM, and I went to sleep. I finally got a chance to go to sleep,
Good.
or what I thought was sleep, because the boy's dad, he was like, you didn't seem like you were asleep, but you were quiet in between your contractions." And I was like, yeah, they were intense, but I want to say the sun starts coming up, and I think the epidural medication is now wearing off again, and it's starting to get more and more intense. I want to say it's about 6 o'clock now, 6 a.m. now. And I'm getting real uncomfortable. I'm starting to have like cold sweats at this point.
Mm.
And I'm looking around, and everybody's starting to like get up, and like, cause I'm moving around, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And, they come check me again. And I think they said I was about 8 or 9 centimeters dilated, only had a little bit left to go. Some time passes by, and my mother walks through the door. And right before she walks through the door, they made a joke and said, that baby's going to come as soon as your mother walks through the door. She said she was coming back in the morning, and I know she's on her way. And she walked through the door, and um, at this point, I was like, "Okay, something's happening." And I think she might have been there for maybe 20 or 30 minutes before I started pushing. I think right before I started pushing, however, I said, "Ooh, can I please get some more medication, because this is like I'm at the end of my rope. I'm starting to like." I think I threw
Did
up.
it feel like fire?
Oh, yeah, when he stuck the ring of fire, I had the ring of fire. I had that ring of fire. This is where things start to take a downhill turn in terms of traumatic,
Mhm.
because so as she gets there, and they transform the room, like it's like within the bed turns into this whole birthing unit. We're getting ready to push, and he's starting to descend, and he's coming out, and yeah, the ring of fire happens, and it's like the worst burning, stinging pain I have ever felt. I never want to go through that again. But yeah, so I go through that, and then his head is out, but then they're like, his shoulder is stuck. Yeah. So she had some trouble. Like, the doctor gets up and she repositions herself, and she's trying to reposition me to make more space for his shoulders to come out. She's like, he's a big baby.
He's a big boy.
And they ended up, yeah, he was a big boy. He was hefty. So she repositions herself, and then all of a sudden, she's like, "We have to cut you." Now, what they do is the episiotomy, where they make space in your vagina for the baby to come out. I want to tell you that through the ring of fire, I believe she numbed me. I do believe she numbed me, but I didn't feel it. I felt more of the contractions more intensely than I felt her cutting. I felt her cutting, but it didn't hurt like I was being cut open. I think she said she gave me about 5 stitches and like 3 stitches inside. So I had a few stitches inside, a few stitches outside, but it was to make space for him to get his shoulders out. After she does that, she tells me to push a little bit more, really hard. A couple more pushes, and he's out. He's here. He didn't cry immediately.
Was he stunned?
I think he was stunned. I don't know. I don't think he knew what was going on. The poor baby, he did not cry immediately. He had his eyes wide open. He was breathing. He was moving. He just was not crying.
He was just
He was
like,
not.
"What did y'all bring me into?"
All these big flashy lights. Oh my God, it's so bright. The doctor, she's sewing me up at this time, and I remember at that point, it starts to feel, I hate to describe it as this, but this is really how it felt. You know, right before you reach your, right after you hit your drinking limit and you get ready to feel yourself start to lose control a little bit? Yeah. I felt loopy like that, like I hadn't slept for 4 days. Yeah, so it's all that adrenaline leaving your body and stuff. And so they have him in the warmer on the other side. My mom is over there with him, talking to him. And I can hear her going, "He's not gonna cry for anybody. He wants y'all to stop touching him. He's not gonna cry for anybody." And as moms do, my daughter did this when she came out. She had her hand over her face and she was just like, "Oh my God, I don't want to be seen. No paparazzi. He just wants to go." Hi, Chippy. Stop yelling at me, please. She just wants to go and relax. She brought her Hi, Chippy. You brought her in here and now, they want to get out of here. So then I want to say a few minutes passed by. It wasn't long. And then they bring him to me. He finally starts crying. Yeah.
He's like, I
And they're
just
like,
want my mommy.
yeah. Well, right before he actually started crying right before they brought him to me, and he had some really good lungs on him. I guess he finally was like, "Okay, you guys want it, so here it is." And he cried and he comes over and he's just sitting there and I'm like, "Oh, my baby." We go through all of that. But then so I'm laying down now, sister. Okay. So I'm laying down now and now it's time for the placenta to come out. And they're like, "Oh, well, you should have passed it already. It's supposed to come out right after." And then they give me another dose of Pitocin. Yeah, they're like, "Oh, we need your uterus to contract so you could release the placenta." And I'm like, "Oh my God, what is happening?" And then this teeny tiny doctor, she was teeny tiny, but I feel like she had the hands of Thor because she took her fist and she's massaging my pelvis. And she's like, "We're trying to stimulate you so you don't retain any of your placenta." And I'm like, It doesn't have to be so rough." That woke me up because I told you before I was feeling loopy, but now I got this going on. That woke me up. They finally get it out. All right, here we are. And now they're getting ready to transfer me to my room. So I got the baby. They're getting ready to put me in the room. And I had to tell, I don't remember who I told, but I had to I told somebody to please take the baby because I'm shaking. So I started to have the shakes and I'm sweating, but I'm cold and
Mm-hmm.
I'm trembling. Everything's happening. And I'm like, "I don't like this and I don't trust myself. Please take the baby. What is going on?"
That's how I felt with Zion. I didn't know what it was the shakes. I thought it was magnesium because they had me on so much drugs, but
Hmm.
I'm now learning it's the shakes.
Yeah, coming off of all those medications. This is all the medications, me coming getting all that out of my system was like, I don't need to ever be on that much medication to go through birth. None of that was necessary. I feel like I could labor on my own. The experience might have been a little better if I would have just waited a bit. But at the time being 19, I wasn't as educated on birth as I could have been, even though I knew enough, but I didn't know what I should have known. So yeah, recovery after that. I get to my room now. Recovery after that was for the first day was pretty rough. I think I bled out in the bed after I got to my room. I bled out a little bit. They had to give me a shot of something to help me clot. I don't remember exactly what that was. Because I remember they gave me my bed. I changed my clothes. I had like washed up a bit and I'm sitting there. I wanna say it's maybe like 10 AM, and I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm tired, like, I'm exhausted." And I'm like, "I just need a soda, something to give me some energy. I need a soda, something." And I get the soda, and my friend brings me the soda, and the nurse comes in the room, and she's like, "Do you want us to help you go to the bathroom?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." She pulls the blanket back, and I'm sitting in kinda like a little pool of blood.
Wow. That's a
Yeah.
lot.
So we had to change everything, change me, wash me, get the doctor in, take my blood pressure, do all this other stuff. And I'm still exhausted because I haven't slept because it's now Sunday morning and it's like 10 a.m. in the morning. I was there since like 3 a.m. Saturday. I'm
Yeah.
delirious. I want to let you know that I don't think I slept again though until I went home.
Of course
Yeah,
not, because they
I
bother
couldn't.
you all throughout
I
the
I
hospital
couldn't sleep
visit.
in the hospital. It
Yeah.
was just like, it's not my no. And then
Hmm.
I had the baby and I was up looking at him and I was like, "Oh
Were
my
you
God, the
breastfeeding
baby."
with him?
I tried. I tried.
Right.
I did. I tried. I wanted to what I did wanna do is I wanted to do the first skin to skin. Was able to do that. I wanted to do the first feeding, but they fed him in a nursery when they took him while they transitioned me into the room. And then when he came back, he was kinda already used to bottles. Like, I appreciate the way they bathed him and cleaned him up. He was all nice and shiny and everything. I was like, oh, my little gift. Well,
Mhm.
you guys took care of him in the nursery, but you fed him already. I wanted to do that. I do think that if I tried a little harder, I would have exclusively breastfed him,
Mhm.
but it was easier to pump and give him the milk.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was easier to do that. So I did that for quite a few months and then I transitioned him to formula. The rest of the hospital stay after that first day was good. I was just really, really sore. My body felt like it was hit by a truck. Everything hurt. Everything was sore. Everywhere I had an IV was sore. My body just was tired. I think the aftercare with just giving birth and having stitches at the same time, that was rough as well. So I had a lot of medication, not medication, a lot of preparation stuff. So I had the mommy pads and the witch
Yeah.
hazel and the bottles and yeah, all of it. And that's why I chose not to go that route when I had Logan.
Makes sense. Yeah, the birthing process is crazy, but thank God that you were able to deliver him naturally because a lot of times when people get induced, it really ends in a C-section. Like so many times. I know that's the case for me. It's the case for a few other people that I had encountered and that I'm friends with. And it's crazy. But
Yeah.
you were safe. So tell me about Logan because we didn't choose that. What did we choose?
So with Logan, I chose a water birth. The water birth idea kind of popped up because after I had Caden, I went into the medical field. So I decided to do some stuff career wise in the medical field. And then I stumbled upon, natural births and things of that nature. Also, I had some friends who had natural births. So, sometimes when you take epidural, they're like, oh my God, you chickened out, you punked out, whatever.
Mhm.
But then, you start to look into certain things. I was aware of it, but then when I got pregnant with Logan, I really, really looked into it to see if it's a thing that I would be able to do because I knew that I did not want to do the hospital again. Or if I didn't do the hospital, my baby had the possibility of being born at home. And everybody thought I was batty. They thought I was crazy. Why would you do that? The hospital is the safest place. But I was like, is it
Is it?
really? Is it really? Because it's not an emergency. Women's bodies are physiologically made to give birth. Like, we know how to do this. The babies know how to birth themselves too. Like, we know how to make this happen. Yes, interventions are sometimes necessary. And absolutely. And thank God for them because without these interventions, many of us won't be here. My mother had an intervention. So, yes, thank God for these interventions. And if I needed an intervention, then I would have chose it. But I said, as long as everybody is healthy and we're able to do this, then yeah, well, this is what we're going to do. And I got the okay to do it through my midwife. I found a birthing center that took my insurance at the time, which was a blessing. I think I
That
came
is
out
a
of
bl
pocket maybe $200.
that is a blessing.
That was just for some extras. And all of it included so much. I had my prenatal appointments, which were really good. I had a midwife. And then with Logan, so
Did you
we'll
have a
start.
doula as well with that?
I did not
Or
have a
just the doula?
doula.
Just the midwife, okay.
Just the midwife. Yes, I had just the midwife. I did not have a doula. One of my older cousins at the time acted as my doula, and thank goodness for her. She took over everything. So with Logan, my labor started. Apparently, I was in labor before I even knew I was in labor. I didn't know I was in labor. So I got to my prenatal appointment that same day around 11 a.m. And when I walked into the clinic, they looked at me and they said, oh my God, Ashley, do you feel okay? And I'm like, "What do you mean?" I think so. I'm just tired. They was like, "You look like you're tired. Are you okay? Are you in labor?" I said, "I think I would know I'm in labor. I don't feel like I'm in labor, but okay." So I get inside the exam room and I didn't have my midwife. I had the on-call midwife for this prenatal appointment. She was in the resident oldest lady there, and I think Logan was the last baby that she called to be born before she retired.
Wow.
Yeah, so I sit there and I kid you not, she was probably about 80 years old at the time. Probably, yeah. She said she's been birthing babies way longer than some of our parents have been born. So she said, I
Wow.
said, I believe you. She looks at me and she said, you know, you're in active labor. Mind you, she didn't even check me yet. She said, you know, you're in active labor. And I'm sitting here like, do you think so? She said, you don't know you're in active labor? I said, I don't know if this baby is coming today. And she's like, well, let me check you. So then she goes and checks me and she says, "Oh, well, you're about 4 centimeters dilated. Let me hook you up to a monitor. I just want to check something here." And I think I sat in her exam room for about an hour. So we sat and talked for about 20 minutes after she checked me. And she said, while we were sitting here talking, you had 5 contractions. That baby is coming today. She starts making all the phone calls to my actual midwife now. She's like, yeah, so we're on baby alert because we have somebody who's in labor. And then, I'm getting ready to leave now. She's like, do you want to go upstairs and start in the birthing suite, or do you need to? I said, I think I'm gonna go home, go get my car seat, my baby bag, all my other stuff. I'm probably gonna go take a nap. I don't think the baby's coming today. Maybe in the morning. I get to the front desk and I'm like, are you sure I don't need to make my appointment for next week? She's like, no, you'll be back. And the minute I turn around, this one contraction hits me and brings me to the floor. Yeah. And there's like 3 other women in the waiting room. And so the midwife comes out and she says, you see, you'll be back. You'll be back. And I said, maybe you're right, I will be back. And she's like, okay, everybody will be here. You're gonna come back. You're gonna go get your stuff and you're coming back. We'll start setting up upstairs. So I go home. I labor for a couple of hours. I want to say I get home like about 1:30-ish because I wanted to walk a bit. So I walked for as far as I could until contractions were like, all right, I need to go home. So then I went home. My older cousin comes after I think a doctor's appointment of her own, and she's in the house with me on my birthing ball, and I'm going from the birthing ball to the floor to the bed, and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then we wait for my mother to get there. She gets there, and by the time my mother gets there, yet
All the
again,
time. By the time mommy
yet
gets there.
by the time mommy arrives, it's go time. So it's about 5-ish, 5:30, and I'm on the phone. Well, before she gets there, I'm on the phone with her like, "Mom, they told me that I could eat in the birthing center. So make sure you bring food. I gotta pack food." And she's like, well, what do you want? I'm like, I want jerk chicken. And so she gets me jerk chicken with rice and peas and cabbage on the side. And she gets all this food and stuff. And she's like, are you sure you can eat this? And I'm like, yeah, they told me I should bring food and I should eat and I should have stuff to keep me, all this stuff. And then I'm in and out of contractions. So I'm giving her half sentences and all that. All right. So she gets there now. I think it's like 5:30-ish, and we call an Uber to go to the birthing center. So it's me, my mom, and my cousin in the Uber going to the birthing center. So we get there now after being stuck in traffic for a little bit. I think the poor man thought I was gonna have the baby in the back of his Uber, but we didn't. So we get there and my midwife, who was a Black lady, beautiful, beautiful soul. I'm so happy I had her. She really coached me through this. We get there and she's like, you're about 5.5 centimeters dilated. Mm, Um, she said, you can hang out, you can chill out, you can go eat if you want, you can walk. You just, but we're here. We're doing this. I want to say about 6:15, 6:30-ish rolls around, maybe a little bit after. I think I lost track of time at this point. And I handed my phone over to my cousin to take over all the stuff. And I'm on the bed. I sat on the toilet. I'm trying to get comfortable on the birthing ball through the contractions, but I had terrible back labor. And I'm like, nothing is working and this is the worst. So then we finally get me in the tub. The tub was the most beautiful thing in the world because it cured all of the back pressure. It eased the
It's
contractions. It
beautiful.
was warm. It felt so good. I think I also had a bunch of people roll into my birthing suite too. I think I had about 5 people there.
Wow.
So we had an audience, plus my midwife. And because I had the shoulder issue with Caden, they called in for backup. She wasn't needed, but she was there anyway. So she was there. Let me not skip ahead. So I get in the water. We're going through like the last hour of labor now. And everybody's, laughing, joking. They think that it's going to last a lot longer than it did the first time. And then all of a sudden they're like, well, why is Ashley over there so quiet? And I'm like, I'm just trying to tune out and listen and I'm just trying to push through it. And then all of a sudden it happened. Mommy was like, she'll be ready. We'll know she's ready when she gets hot and cold and she starts to throw up. That's when the baby is going to come. And no later did she say that. I started having the hot flashes and then I started to get cold again. And then I threw up. And then she was like, the baby's on its way. The midwife comes in and she's like, Would you like me to check you to see how far you are along?" I said, "No, I'm in so much pain and I'm so uncomfortable right now. I don't want to get checked. I'm so tired. I'm so sore." She said, "Let me just check you." She was like, "Sweetie, do you know you're fully dilated? You're fully, fully dilated. All you need to do is just get him out." And I was like, "Fully dilated? All right, so let's do this." My water hadn't broken yet, right? So were that hadn't happened. So she's like, "It looks like your labor is slowing down a bit, but you're fully dilated. I think he just needs to descend a little bit more and you can help that out." So she has me start pushing a little bit. And as I'm pushing, my water does break. And I believe she goes, I think there was a moment in time where I said, "I can't do this anymore." Right? So we all get to that point where I can't do this. This is too hard. I can't do this. And then she looked at me, essentially told me to lock in. "You got this." And I said, "All right, let's go. It's go time. I got this." And Logan, I think, was out in like a few pushes after that. It was really easy, really simple to get him out. It wasn't hard. We had no issues with his shoulders or anything like that. And he came out screaming. He was bright. He was alive. He was alert. He had all the energy. It was a really great feeling to know that I did that after the first experience that I had.
Hmm.
This felt like I redeemed myself. Like I knew my body could do this. I knew I didn't need all the interventions. Like I knew it wasn't an emergency. And I will say recovery afterwards was a breeze. I was up and walking around. I had Logan at about 8:39 at night that Wednesday. I wanna say I was up walking around again, like, doing stuff and ready to, like, do other things and go outside by the next day.
Because it was
I wanna
natural.
say it
You
was
let your
natural.
body do your thing.
I had my little support garments on or whatever, but I didn't feel like I was in a fight.
Did you feel that same crash? Did you feel the shakes?
No, no, I didn't. I didn't f I wait, yes, I did. I did feel those, now that I think
Okay.
about it. Right after I had him, he's in my arms for a little bit because we didn't cut his cord immediately. He stayed connected until I actually passed my placenta. So I had him in the tub. And it's really interesting because you would think babies that come out in the tub, they're gonna be all dirty and gooey and stuff. No, he was clean like they cleaned him at the nursery. I was like, that's pretty interesting. The
Mm.
science portion of it all just looked really interesting to me. So I yep, he stayed connected. And when I got in the bed, and I think his dad was holding him. I said, "I can't take him back. I feel kind of a little weak. I do feel jittery. I don't trust myself to continue to hold him just yet. I don't know. I think I needed water or juice or something to get the electrolytes back." But it wasn't as bad. I was
Wasn't
very
as bad.
alert. I was very, very alert. And it didn't last very long. As soon as I ate, I was fine.
That's amazing.
Hmm.
See, it's like the world of a difference.
Yeah.
I truly did want to have a water birth, especially after you told me about your birth with Logan. I was like, I want that. I want that. Unfortunately, I was high risk. So they were like, we don't encourage that. I'm sure my body could have still done it, trusting those people. But thank you for sharing that story. Like, what would you recommend for people who are interested in water births? Like,
To
what should they do? How do they go about that research?
So I did Logan's water birth 9 years ago. Working with health insurance companies now, advise first things first, do your research on what your insurance will allow.
Hmm.
We'll start there. That is the most responsible way about it. But do your research into how to prepare your body beforehand. Do your research into what is needed, risks. Do your research. Start by where you want to have your baby. Have your backup plan. Birthing plan is a must. I do agree a birthing plan is a must. And always make sure you have a backup because things can change. Find somebody who you're comfortable with, who you can communicate with, who can, be upfront with you as well, because you do need to know the risks. And as long as you're healthy enough to do it, absolutely start with touring these places because you can tour. These places do give you a tour. My birthing center in particular made me do a seminar beforehand, and I had to do a breastfeeding class before I was able to be approved to do the water birth. And then we also had to do another mom and baby safety class in order to be approved for the water birth. So definitely look into that. I do also believe there are hospitals that may offer water births as well, and you can schedule a visit with their birthing suites. I don't know exactly which hospitals do it within the tri-state area, but I do know some of them do it. Once you're there, ask all the questions. Ask all the medical questions you possibly can, what can go wrong, but definitely don't trick yourself into thinking that this will go wrong, but just be aware of what to look out for. Prepare yourself, I would say, prepare yourself for labor. I think mom should stay as active as possible during pregnancy. And I do think that did help because I did move around a lot with Logan. I was working, I want to say working until about 7.5 months. I took the last 2 months off to rest, but I was actively working and I was up and moving around. It does help with stamina through labor.
Tremendously.
It helps with it's like a stamina you need like none other to reach that goal, and to also have a good support system.
Uh-huh.
Because sometimes when you're in that space and you're in labor, you can't always be cognizant of all your decisions and all the external things that happen. So you need a good support system to keep you grounded and focused, because there are times where you might feel like, especially if this is what I learned, there are times that if you did a medicated birth the first time around and then you choose to do a natural birth afterwards, you get to a point where if you didn't do natural labor, you start to get worried that these contractions will continue to get worse and continue to get worse. And it's not, natural contractions to me were never as bad as the induced ones that I had. The
Mhm.
natural contractions, they had a flow, they had a rhythm. They weren't shocking. I did feel like the Pitocin contractions were unnatural. The regular natural ones did not feel like they were man-made. So don't psych yourself out of thinking that you can't do it. You can absolutely do it. You can do it. Listen to your body and learn your body as well.
Yes.
Mhm.
I love that. Thank you so much. And I'm sure there will be a lot of people who appreciate that. I know Ashley does have her water birth online. I will
Yes.
post the link in the description for those who are interested in watching. Always a care note, take care while watching the video and
Yes.
listening to this to begin with. I'm trying to think, like, is there anything else you want to share with the viewers?
I'm not sure. Do you have any other questions that you wanna ask me? Anything else, birth related,
No, we were
kids
just vibing.
related?
We were really just vibing. I really wanted to focus on the 2 different labors because I know that you had 2 very different experiences. So,
Yes.
thank you so much for sharing. If this resonated with any of you, like it, share it, comment. If you've had a similar experience or if you even have questions, let us know. We'll definitely get back to you. Remember, this is not medical advice. This is
No, not
lived
medical advice.
experience from a real, raw Black woman.
Yes,
And
absolutely. And I'm also
until
available, if anybody wants to have questions in the comments and, or know more, I don't mind answering any questions as well.
yes, please reach out. Like, we really, really want you to ask questions. There is one last question that I just randomly thought of.
Sure.
Did you experience any bias when you were in the hospital with the first birth with
Yes.
KK?
Yes, absolutely. We can dive into those. So the first bias that I experienced was being a young Black mother. I was 19, so they're like, look, but I also had a baby face. They don't really look at you like you're the smartest cookie.
Mm,
Oh, the little girl who's just over there pregnant. I didn't have a chance to advocate for myself the way I would have liked to against some of the practices, being checked over and over and, feeling like a guinea pig, those type of things. Yeah. Being a Black woman in the medical system, not being heard sometimes in the hospital is very rough. And I felt that during my labor, I did not want that for my baby. So that in turn made me choose to keep my baby in my room with me instead of sending him to the nursery.
That makes sense.
Hmm.
Thank you so much. We're going to wrap this up. Peace, love. Until next
And
time.
blessings for everybody.
Yes. Thank you so much, guys.
Take care.